They're watching you right now, chosen ones. At this very moment, someone who used to have unlimited access to your energy is frantically scrolling through your social media, trying to decode the mystery you've become. Their fingers hover over your latest posts, searching for clues about what level you've reached, what stage of evolution you're operating from. But here's what they don't understand yet. What's coming will make their current panic look like child's play. You see, there's a cosmic shift happening that goes deeper than anything they could imagine. While they're busy playing detective with your digital footprint, you're undergoing what I call the Great Separation, a divine process that's about to reveal exactly who deserves to be in your new reality and who gets left behind in the wreckage of your old life. The research they're doing on you isn't casual curiosity, it's desperation disguised as interest, fear masquerading as concern. They remember when you were their friend. They remember when you were accommodating their every demand, when your boundaries were suggestions rather than commandments. But something fundamental shifted, didn't it? You entered what the universe calls your no season, and suddenly the word no became your most devastating weapon. When you said no last month, you meant it with the force of divine decree. When you said no last year, you meant it with the certainty of someone who finally understood their worth. But this is just the beginning of what's about to get much more intense. Because what they don't know, what they can't possibly comprehend, is that you're not just changing your responses to their manipulation. You're literally timeline traveling, shifting from one-dimensional frequency to another, leaving behind the version of yourself that used to tolerate inconsistency and half-hearted efforts. And this timeline travel comes with powers they never saw coming. The cosmic joke is that while they're studying you like you're their advanced course in human behavior, you've already graduated to a frequency that operates by completely different rules. You've been moving through rapid consciousness upgrades, each one making you more unpredictable, more powerful, more absolutely certain of your own divine nature. The people around you are starting to panic because they can no longer manipulate your responses or predict your next move. This unpredictability isn't chaos, it's cosmic intelligence expressing itself through someone who has remembered they're not bound by earthly limitations. You're operating from a place of authentic power now, where your decisions flow from inner wisdom rather than external pressure. When someone approaches you expecting the old you to appear, they're met with this new energy that's so confident, so grounded, so absolutely certain of its own magnificence that it literally gives them chills. Here's where everything takes a turn that will change everything you thought you knew about your own power. What you're experiencing right now is a massive voice activation, a third eye awakening that's allowing you to see through illusions that once kept you trapped in toxic patterns. That cosmic glow you're carrying isn't something you're imagining. It's the visible manifestation of someone who has called back all their scattered energy and consolidated it into pure, focused dominance. But there's something more happening, something that's about to escalate beyond anything you've experienced before. Other people are about to be forcibly relocated from your life, not because you're pushing them away, but because your elevated frequency is creating a magnetic field that naturally repels those who can't match your energy. This isn't just about changing relationships, this is about reality itself, reshaping around your new vibration. The universe is preparing to test whether you truly understand the magnitude of what's happening to you. This week especially, you're going to encounter people who want to test whether you really meant what you said. They're going to approach you with the same old manipulation tactics, the same emotional blackmail, the same assumption that if they just push hard enough, you'll cave like you used to. But here's what's going to shock them into a new understanding of who you've become. You now operate by the law of consistency, the only currency that has any value in your elevated reality, not the grand gesture they made that one time, not the flowers they bought you 6 months ago when they needed something from you, not the single moment when they actually showed up for you. You're measuring people by their ability to show up consistently, and most of the people from your past are failing this test catastrophically. Think about this revelation like a cosmic examination that separates the authentic from the pretenders. If someone went to the gym once and lifted heavy weights, would that one session carry them through the entire year? Of course not. But that's exactly what these inconsistent people are trying to do with you. They're pointing to that one time they did right by you, as if it should earn them unlimited access to your energy forever. What they don't realize is that you've closed that old account and opened a new one with divine-level standards, and the interest rates on their past investments have expired. You're no longer accepting payment plans for relationships. It's full commitment or complete removal from your reality. The stakes are about to escalate dramatically because you're about to witness something that will confirm the prophetic nature of your transformation. People who once had easy access to your attention are going to start experiencing what I call karma's express delivery. But this isn't just ordinary consequences. This is cosmic justice operating at warp speed, delivering compound interest on every betrayal they committed against you. That person who talked behind your back thinking you'd never find out, they're about to discover what it feels like when their own secrets are exposed in ways that make your situation look minor. That individual who took your generosity for granted, they're about to experience a drought of support so severe it will make them understand what they lost when they lost you. But this is just the warm-up act for what's really coming. Right now, as I'm speaking to you, there are people having sleepless nights because they can't figure out your next move. They're used to being able to predict and control your responses, but you've become this intricate enigma, a complex system that operates according to divine timing rather than their manipulative schedules. Every time they think they've cracked the code of your behavior, you shift again, leaving them scrambling to understand this new version of you that refuses to be contained. But here's the revelation that's about to change everything. This transformation you're undergoing isn't just personal, it's cosmic. You're stepping into a spotlight that was always meant for you, and the universe is preparing to give you an obscene amount of attention. But before that blessing arrives, you need to understand the full scope of what's being offered to you and what it's going to cost those who chose to underestimate you. The scarcity mindset that once convinced you that nobody cares about what you bring to the table is being incinerated by this new frequency you're operating on. You needed certain key information, certain vital realizations to make this transformation possible, and now that you have these missing pieces, something is literally flipping a switch in your consciousness. You're rewiring your nervous system to operate from abundance rather than fear, from dominance rather than submission. The people who didn't like you before are about to discover levels of discomfort they never imagined possible as this new version of you emerges. And that's exactly how you know you're on the right path. You refuse to stay trapped in scarcity thinking. You understand that everything you invest now comes back multiplied exponentially by 10, by 50, by 100. Every action you take carries the energy of someone who knows that miracles are their natural inheritance. But here's where everything thickens in ways that will test everything you've learned so far. There are people around you who think they have some shocking news about you, or they believe they possess some hidden truth they can use to manipulate or embarrass you. This is where your cosmic masculine energy becomes not just an asset, but your ultimate weapon of mass destruction. You're not going to over-explain what you meant when you said what you said. You're not going to justify your boundaries or apologize for your standards. If these people get any response from you at all, it's going to be minimal and without the emotional labor they've come to expect as their right. But what they don't understand is that your silence isn't passive. It's a choice made from a position of such overwhelming power that explanation becomes unnecessary. These are the same people who are fishing for information about your life, hoping you'll give them details they can use against you later, or share with others to feed their addiction to drama. They're expecting the old you to provide detailed explanations for every decision you make, but they're about to discover that this new version of you operates with the confidence of someone who doesn't owe anyone an explanation for living authentically. Here's where multiple layers converge in a way that will leave you breathless with the perfection of divine timing. You're literally living rent-free in the minds of people who can't understand how you haven't come crawling back to them. They're obsessed with your apparent ability to mean what you say and stick to your decisions without wavering. They keep waiting for you to break, to cave, to return to the familiar pattern of tolerating their inconsistency. But you're not coming back, ever. And that certainty in your own convictions is driving them to levels of desperation that will soon become visible to everyone around them. This is your no season, operating at full power, where you've put numerous people on pause so you can sit in your own energy and truly understand the magnitude of your own cosmic significance. You're calling back energy that you've scattered across countless relationships and situations that never deserved it in the first place. You're recognizing that you carry divine presence, divine aura, and that you don't feel this connection to your own power when you're dealing with people who drain or diminish you. This energy retrieval process is about to culminate in something extraordinary. Love is returning to the forefront of your life, but not in the way most people would expect. This isn't about romantic love, though that may be part of it. This is about falling back in love with yourself, with your own company, with the dreams and visions that make you feel most alive. You're becoming nostalgic for the version of yourself that existed before you learned to dim your light for others. And this nostalgia is actually a cosmic GPS guiding you back to your true nature. The cosmic intelligence that flows through you operates best when you're constantly rearranging your life, when you refuse to stay stuck in situations that have become stagnant. You might find yourself getting bored easily with arrangements that once satisfied you, and this restlessness is actually your intuition guiding you toward your next quantum leap. When you feel that urge to change something, to completely restructure your approach, that's divine intelligence speaking through your desire for expansion. But here's where everything reaches its most crucial turning point. Someone in your orbit is about to face consequences so severe for how they've treated you that it will serve as a cosmic warning to everyone else who's been watching this transformation unfold. These consequences aren't coming from you, they're coming from the universe itself, which has been keeping meticulous records of every betrayal, every moment they took your generosity for granted. While you're entering your jackpot season, where unexpected abundance flows your way like a river that's finally found its natural course, they're going to be dealing with the breakdown of every system they took for granted. You gave them money, time, energy, support, and they treated these gifts with casual disregard. Now they're about to understand the true value of what they rejected, but the lesson will come at a price they never imagined they'd have to pay. This is where everything converges into a moment of such clarity that it will redefine your understanding of your own power forever. The inheritance coming your way isn't just financial, it's spiritual, mental, emotional, and energetic. You're inheriting a level of confidence, a depth of self-knowledge, a quality of inner authority that no external circumstance can diminish. After dealing with what felt like an endless parade of energy thieves and manipulators, after enduring people talking about you behind your back while smiling to your face, you're finally stepping into the cosmic inheritance that was always your birthright. This week, someone is going to try to force their way back into your life using manipulation tactics that once worked on you. They're going to push and push and push, expecting that eventually you'll give in like you used to. But you're going to surprise them and yourself by saying no again. And this time, you're not going to provide even the minimal explanation you gave before. You've learned that over-explanation is just another form of energy donation to people who haven't earned it. There are cyberbullies and drama starters who desperately want your attention right now. They want you to react, to engage, to give them the emotional response they're craving like an addiction. But you've realized something that will change the entire game. The best way to handle these people is to starve them of the attention they're desperately seeking. You're done giving life to situations and people who drain your energy rather than multiply it. Some of these people have been holding grudges against you since the moment you decided to prioritize your own well-being over their comfort. They thought you were always going to be the convenient energy source they could rely on to absorb their negative emotions and validate their dysfunction, but they're about to discover that they were never actually a match for the power you carry when you're operating authentically. Here's the climactic revelation that changes everything. You're healing from people who recently betrayed you, but more importantly, you're healing from the version of yourself that ever believed betrayal was something you had to tolerate. You're not just recovering from their actions, you're evolving beyond the consciousness that attracted those experiences in the first place. The reputation that others have been gossiping about is actually a testament to your power operating at frequencies they can't comprehend. So many people who couldn't get the best of you have attempted to shift everyone else's opinion of you, but they're discovering that truth has a gravitational pull that eventually draws all things back into proper alignment. When they figured out that they couldn't manipulate the narrative around you, when they realized you were still going to succeed regardless of their interference, they had to confront the reality that they were dealing with someone far more powerful than they had initially understood. You're learning the art of detachment in a way that's showing people you choose to be present in their lives, rather than needing to be there. This distinction is crucial because it completely shifts the power dynamic of every relationship in your life. When you operate from choice rather than need, from abundance rather than scarcity, from strength rather than desperation, you become magnetic to experiences that match your elevated frequency. There's an intimidating quality to your presence now that you might not even be fully aware of, but others certainly feel it in ways that leave them fundamentally changed. When you walk into a room, people sense something that makes the hair on the back of their necks stand up, not from fear, but from recognition of authentic power. They can't quite articulate what it is, but they know they're in the presence of someone who operates according to divine laws, rather than human limitations. You give people chills in the most profound way, because you emanate the energy of someone who has touched something cosmic and been forever transformed by the experience. When you're genuinely kind to people now, they're almost overwhelmed by the experience, because kindness from someone who carries this much power feels like receiving a blessing from the universe itself. You've become what I call a cosmic conversation piece. People can't stop talking about the dramatic transformation they've witnessed in you, but this fascination isn't always coming from a place of admiration. Some people are actively trying to get you removed from situations because your presence highlights their own lack of authenticity in ways that make them profoundly uncomfortable. The intricate enigma that you've become operates like a cosmic clockwork with millions of moving parts, and nobody is getting close enough to interfere with that divine machinery. You're protected by forces that these people don't understand and can't manipulate. For them, it's the same disappointing experience over and over again. They keep trying the same tactics that used to work on you, only to discover that you've evolved beyond their ability to influence. You're being tested right now to not react emotionally to provocations that are specifically designed to trigger your old responses. The universe wants to see if you've truly integrated this new level of consciousness, or if you'll revert to old patterns when pressed. This is where your cosmic masculine energy becomes your ultimate advantage, the ability to remain calm, centered, and unmoved by external chaos while maintaining your boundaries with absolute clarity. People around you are stuck on grand illusions about who they think you should be, or they're fixated on that one time they did something decent for you and expecting it to carry them indefinitely. But you've learned to value consistency over everything else. You want people in your life who show up for you with the same energy day after day, not people who make one grand gesture and then coast on that effort for months or years. The measuring stick you're using now is brilliantly simple. Are they consistent, or are you just stuck on an idealized version of them that doesn't match their actual behavior? This question is going to save you from wasting precious energy on people who will never be able to meet you where you are because they lack the depth to sustain authentic connection. You have proof now, irrefutable evidence that certain people in your life simply aren't operating at the level they pretend to maintain. They might deliver 90% of what you need from them, but that missing 10% isn't an oversight or a flaw they're working to improve. It's them deliberately withholding full commitment, showing you in subtle ways that they're not fully invested in your connection while being too cowardly to admit it outright. This pattern has been particularly painful because you could see their potential, you could remember moments when they showed up fully, and you kept hoping they'd become consistent in their excellence. But that inconsistency isn't something they need to work on. It's a choice they're making to maintain power over you by keeping you in a state of uncertainty about where you stand with them. You're seeing this pattern with laser clarity now across all areas of your life: romantic relationships, friendships, family dynamics, and professional situations. The people who are supposed to support you have been delivering partial effort while expecting full access to your time, energy, and resources. They're not meeting you where you are because they benefit from the imbalanced dynamic that keeps you giving more than you receive. But here's where your cosmic masculine energy completely transforms the game in ways that will echo through dimensions. You're no longer willing to accept partial commitment from anyone, regardless of your history with them or your hopes for what the relationship could become. You're operating from a place of such deep self-respect that you'd rather stand alone in your power than accept treatment that doesn't match your energy. This shift is causing widespread panic, because people are realizing that their access to you was based on your willingness to accept less than you deserved, not on their actual value as a presence in your life. Now that you've raised your standards to cosmic levels, they're scrambling to figure out how to meet them, but many of them simply don't have the capacity or the genuine desire to operate at your frequency. You're about to go viral or receive an obscene amount of attention, not because you're chasing it, but because authenticity at your level is magnetic in a way that manufactured personas can never replicate. People are drawn to individuals who have done the deep work of aligning their external expression with their internal truth, and you've reached that rare level of integration where your very presence becomes a teaching. The abundance that's flowing to you now isn't coming from forcing or manipulating or trying to make things happen through sheer willpower. It's flowing to you naturally as a result of your elevated frequency and your absolute refusal to compromise your standards for anyone or anything that doesn't truly serve your highest evolution. Your timeline traveling now with the confidence of someone who knows they belong in the reality they're creating, moving from one-dimensional frequency to another with a speed that's leaving everyone around you dizzy, trying to keep up. The version of yourself that you've been praying for, hoping for, working toward, that version isn't coming. That version is here, fully integrated, fully activated, fully aware of its own cosmic significance. This is your cosmic masculine energy in its ultimate expression, the ability to make decisive moves without needing approval or permission from anyone, the confidence to walk away from situations that no longer serve your expansion, the wisdom to recognize your own worth without external validation. You refuse to live a lie anymore, refuse to pretend that mediocre treatment is acceptable, refuse to dim your light to make others comfortable in their own limitations. The people who are studying you, researching you, trying to figure out your next move, they're operating from a place of lack and scarcity that you've completely transcended. While they're focused on you, you're focused on building the life that makes you feel most alive and authentic. While they're trying to predict your behavior, you're listening to divine guidance that keeps you several steps ahead of their limited understanding. You were never meant to walk this path alone. The Obsidian Inner Order isn't just another spiritual community, it's a sanctuary for the exiled, the awakened, the ones who've been gaslit for their gifts and abandoned for their truth. Every week we gather live on Zoom, real people with real faces, sharing real stories of transformation. There's a former CFO who embraced their psychic abilities, a seer who broke free from religious oppression, and a healer who survived ritual abuse and found their power. Dozens more join us who understand exactly what you've been through. This is your spiritual family, never gonna give you up, never gonna let you walk through this awakening alone, never gonna scroll past your suffering like it's just content. Your exile from the ordinary world wasn't punishment, it was preparation for this, for us, for the family that chooses you back. Join the Obsidian Inner Order. Link in description. Your cosmic energy isn't something you're trying to cultivate. It's the natural expression of someone who has remembered their true power and decided never to forget it again. This energy is absolutely insane because it's completely authentic, completely aligned, completely unwilling to compromise for anyone who isn't operating at the same level of consciousness. The game has changed permanently. Chosen One, the rules that governed your old life don't apply to this new reality you're creating. You're operating from a place of such deep knowing, such unshakable confidence, such absolute certainty in your own cosmic worth, that nothing and no one can dim this light you're carrying. And the beautiful truth is that this transformation, this cosmic awakening you've undergone, has brought you full circle to something you always knew but temporarily forgot. You were never meant to live small, to accept less, to dim your light for anyone's comfort. You were always meant to shine with this intensity, to operate with this level of authenticity, to command this degree of respect. The people who are watching you now with a mixture of fascination and terror are witnessing something they've never seen before, someone who has fully remembered their divine nature and refuses to pretend otherwise. Your cosmic masculine energy isn't just insane, it's a revolution wrapped in the form of someone who finally knows exactly who they are and isn't afraid to be it. This is just the beginning of what's possible when you operate from this level of cosmic consciousness. The universe has been waiting for you to remember your power, and now that you have, there are no limits to what you can create, attract and become.